Greetings everyone, thank you for coming to my channel. In this video, you'll be learning about reciprocal pronouns. Reciprocal pronouns express a mutual action or relationship. The reciprocal pronouns I'll be discussing in this video are each other and one another. So for starters, each other is used when expressing a mutual relationship between two individuals or things. So example 1 says the husband and wife love each other. So the husband is one person and the wife is another person, so that makes two people. And as stated in our definition, each other is used when expressing a mutual relationship between two individuals or things. So the husband loves the wife and the wife loves the husband. It's a mutual relationship. So example 2 says my brother and sister can't stand each other. So my brother is one person and my sister is another person, so that makes two people. And as stated in our definition, each other is used when expressing a mutual relationship between two individuals or things. So my brother is one of the individuals and my sister is the other individual. My brother can't stand my sister and my sister can't stand my brother. Mutual relationship. Example 3 says my best friend and I always support each other. So my best friend is one individual and I am another individual, so that makes two individuals. My best friend always supports me and I always support my best friend. It's a mutual relationship. One another is used when expressing a mutual action or relationship between more than two individuals or things. So example 1 says the hockey team congratulated one another after its win. So we wouldn't say the hockey team congratulated each other because that would mean we're only referring to two people. In this case, we're referring to a whole team of people, and that's why we use one another. Also, when you see the other examples, you'll notice that one another is used when the subject is plural. So example 2 says the dogs at the park barked at one another. So we didn't say the dogs at the park barked at each other because that would mean we're referring to two dogs. In this case, we're referring to more than two dogs, and that's why we used one another. Example 3 says the bus drivers greeted one another at the meeting. So we wouldn't say the bus drivers greeted each other at the meeting because then we will be talking about two bus drivers, but we're talking about more than two bus drivers, and that's why we said one another as opposed to saying each other. People often get reflexive pronouns confused with reciprocal pronouns. Remember, with reflexive pronouns, both the subject and the object are the same person. The action is directed back onto the subject. Reflexive pronouns are essential to understanding the meaning of the sentence. In other words, if you take the reflexive pronoun out of the sentence won't make sense. So the reflexive pronouns are myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. So example 1 says I bought myself a car. So notice how I is the subject pronoun because I am doing the action. I bought myself a car. So I'm doing the buying. And notice how myself is the object pronoun, also the reflexive pronoun, because myself is receiving the action. I bought myself a car. So notice how I'm doing the action, but I'm pretty much doing the action for myself. It's reflected upon myself. Example 2 says he hit himself on his ear. So notice how he is the subject pronoun because he is doing the action. He hit himself. And notice how himself is the object pronoun, also the reflexive pronoun, because himself is receiving the action. Himself was hit. So he's doing the action, but he's also a recipient of the action. He hit himself, but he also got hit by himself. Example 3 says she wrote herself a note. So she is the subject pronoun because she is doing the action. She's doing the writing, but she is also the object pronoun because she wrote herself a note. So Herself is the recipient of the action, the writing. Also, just a little side note, I refer to the reflexive pronouns as object pronouns sometimes, but don't let that confuse you. You can use both, like they're object pronouns and they're reflexive pronouns. Also, keep in mind that intensive pronouns are the same in appearance as reflexive pronouns, but they're used differently. They add emphasis. They're not essential to understanding the meaning of the sentence. So in other words, if I take an intensive pronoun out the sentence will still make sense. So here are our intensive pronouns: myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. So here are examples with intensive pronouns. So example 1 says, I completed my homework all by myself. So as you can see, we're adding emphasis to the fact that I completed the homework by myself. I didn't just complete the homework, I completed it all by myself. So if we took out all by myself, this sentence would still make sense because it would say, I completed my homework. And that's the thing about intensive pronouns. When you take them out, the sentence still makes sense. So they're not essential to understanding the sentence. Example 2 says he solved the problem himself and didn't ask for help. So he didn't just solve the problem, he solved the problem himself and didn't ask for help. So there's the emphasis. So if we took out himself, the sentence would say he solved the problem and didn't ask for help. So it would still make sense. And example 3 says she cleaned her room herself. So she doesn't just want us to know that she cleaned her room. She wants us to know that she cleaned it herself. So that's where the emphasis is. And if we took out herself, the sentence would say she cleaned her room. So it would still make sense. Don't forget, reciprocal pronouns express a mutual action or relationship between two or more individuals or things. So example 1 says they have a crush on each other. So we're talking about two people and they both have a crush on each other. A has a crush on B and B has a crush on A mutual relationship. Example 2 says her siblings socialize with one another. So we use one another, so that means we're talking about more than two people. But as you can see, it's a mutual action between all parties. Example 3 says my mom and dad don't like each other. We used each other, so that means we're talking about two people. So we're talking about my mom and we're talking about my dad. So that's two people. And this is a mutual action because my mom doesn't like my dad and my dad doesn't like my mom. Thank you guys for coming. I hope you found this video informative. If you did find this video informative, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, or all of the above, and I'll see you next time.